You are listening to the IoT For All Media Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the IoT For All Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Chacon, and on today's episode, we have Arne Assman, the Head of Strategy and Business Development at 1NCE. They are the first provider of connectivity and software for IoT at a global flat rate. They're very much focusing their offerings on providing customers with the tools to efficiently scale and manage their IoT deployments while providing a very transparent cost structure. So we talk a lot about kind of just the general state when it comes to connectivity, pricing, challenges with low bandwidth IoT. We focus on low bandwidth IoT a good bit here, different use cases around low bandwidth IoT, and then other types of challenges that customers who are trying to build and scale solutions may not be thinking about, and kind of advice and ways to overcome them. So all in all, great conversation. I really think we get a lot of value out of this. But before we get into this episode, if any of you out there are looking to enter the fast-growing and profitable IoT market, but don't know where to start, check out our sponsor, Leverage. Leverage's IoT solutions development platform provides everything you need to create turnkey IoT products that you can white label and resell under your own brand. To learn more, go to iotchangeseverything.com. That's iotchangeseverything.com. And without further ado, please enjoy this episode of the IoT For All podcast. Welcome, Arne, to the IoT For All show. Thanks for being here this week.
Yeah, pleasure is all mine. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have you. So let's kick this off by having you give a quick introduction about yourself to our audience, background, any information you think is relevant, get a better sense of who we're listening to.
Sure. So my name is Arne. I'm heading the department strategy and business development here at 1NCE, since the beginning of 1NCE. And before I joined 1NCE, leading the strategy, I was an analyst, really looking at all the applications, everything that is going on in IoT and times markets. This was my area of expertise. So it was just a coincidence that I met Alex, our CEO and founder, and I was writing the business case for 1NCE as an analyst.
Okay.
And I was so thrilled by the idea, and I was going to ask Alex, hey, what about working for you? And he said, sure. And that was just the story that I was then one of the first employees here at 1NCE, starting the journey to really disrupt the IoT.
That's fantastic. It's such a cool kind of way to come about, from your earlier work into a company, and now actually able to kind of implement the ideas and the work you were doing ahead of time. So talk to us a little bit about 1NCE. So what's the role you all play in the space, overview of kind of what you offer to the industry, anything kind of along those lines?
Yeah, where to start? I would like to put it in a simple phrase. So what 1NCE is doing is we want to make the provision of IoT within the whole IoT supply chain way more easy. And it starts with that we have created in the first place a very compelling IoT connectivity offering. Okay. But also, since we have done this from scratch based on software technology, not on network technology, and we can go on that a little bit deeper maybe later. But simple story, it is based on software, and hence we are one of the first companies providing connectivity as it would be a software. So we're developing new features in combination with connectivity on a very unique way. So you could say we are the first provider of software and connectivity services for IoT, and this at a very unique model. We call it flat rate.
So tell me about how that works then, because I've had many guests who come on and we talk about the connectivity side, we talk about the software side, how connectivity and the software pieces play together, how you can implement their connectivity, which is tied in with software. So I'm curious to hear kind of the unique approach that you all are taking, kind of how it differentiates between what's in the market.
Yeah, and again, here the kind of user story is very simple, or the user experience. So 1NCE provides a web shop, which is a very easy start for everyone. Maybe an SMB, maybe a developer, even an enterprise employee is able to go to our web shop and order his first test SIM cards.
Okay.
And the way we do it is really, if you go to Amazon, it's just the same experience. To click, and already the next day you can have it on your desk and start connecting your device with our service. And that is the simple story. There is another part of that, which is also why this is so easy, is we are offering IoT connectivity at a prepaid service. So everything that customers want to do with us is already paid up front. And this at a very compelling price of $10 for 10 years.
Wow.
So people are asking us in this very moment when we tell the price, hey, is this enough? And is it $10 for 1 year? No, it's $10 for 10 years. So $1 per year if you would divide it by 10. And the reason for that is very simple. We want to target not the whole kind of IoT applications. We want to really target the long tail of IoT, so the low data use cases, where it's really about longevity and low data.
So it's when you're talking about $10 or 10 years, so $1 a year, is that per device?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Gotcha.
Or in our universe, it's per connection, but it should be the same.
Makes sense. Okay, perfect. And do you all focus on any? I mean, you mentioned here kind of the low bandwidth side of things. Were there any particular use cases or applications that your technology is more aimed towards?
Yes. If you think of the 10 years, you might get a very first glimpse of what typical use case this aims for.
Okay.
Think of smart metering.
Sure.
Think of your heat allocator here in Europe, in Germany, where we do live. There is almost in every flat, there is a heat allocator on every heater. And these allocators, they're spotted there or they're mounted on that and supposed to be there for 7 or even up to 15 years.
Right.
The same goes for smart meters. So they're supposed to be in the kind of basements or whatever they are to last there for 10 years and longer. So what we wanted to try with the prepaid offering that we were designing for 10 years is to really have a all singing, all dancing, one tariff that covers it all. And so we can cover the time by that. And the second part, the second ingredient is, of course, the data and all the other features that you need to connect your device for up to 10 years. Believe it or not, it's all included also within the $10. There is no upsell from our end. We want to have it all covered because guess what? The requirements for that is really, it's not about data anymore. But a lot of customers in these use cases that we address aim for is to consume as less data because data means energy, battery power. So they want to have really long living assets in the field, consuming very few data, hence very few energy. And that's the trick. Yeah. And so use cases, I mentioned smart metering, so sub-metering, so heat allocators is one thing. Think of smoke detectors, also very much the same. They're in the field for years rather than months.
Right.
Then you have, of course, street lightings. So everywhere in cities you hear about smart city projects. We see it everywhere that more and more cities become connected. Streetlights is a very compelling and very interesting use case as well. Even in the US, we are currently in a project involved where we will equip a lot of street lightings in the city.
Fantastic.
And also then infrastructure, everything that you can think of in infrastructure, may it be pipelines, may it be, elevators, may it be bridges, everything where you have sensors in there in the field that need to just detect, okay, what's the status of my device, of my asset, of my fleet, you name it. This is there almost every time, very few data for a long time. And we cover these use cases with a simple and compelling offering.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate you kind of breaking that down. That kind of puts it into perspective for sure.
Yeah.
So if we focus here for a second on low bandwidth IoT in general, what are the biggest challenges with the implementation there? Or what are the biggest challenges that you come across when you work with customers on deployments or that you're seeing in the market in general around this?
This is a very good question, but also very, very challenging to ask to answer. Because the challenges that we see are very diverse. So let me just give you some examples, maybe.
Sure.
So more anecdotes rather than giving you a very complete picture.
Yep.
But what we see very often is that customers are very often focusing, when they approach us in the first place, they're focusing on the technical feasibility. So they start rather in thinking of terms like, I need to create a POC. But then going to the next stage, creating an IoT solution for a large deployment, this is a completely different game, because everything that you have created on the technical feasibility part and the POC becomes now very tricky. It becomes a cost problem, scalability problem, skill problem, because all that stuff. So features need to be added as well. Deploy thousands of sensors in the field is very different, rather than just creating 10 or 5. So you need to think of workarounds, how to really manage thousands of devices, how to activate thousands of devices, and so on. And then, of course, in addition, the costs for that. So in a nutshell, all these kind of developments and stages where customers go through, it is very important for all of us to understand, for us IoT experts, to understand where customers are at this very moment, so that we can help them on their specific needs. And like I said, a customer who wants to create a POC, he can have all the features. He wants to have as many features as possible. Whereas, of course, the large-scale deployment customer, he, of course, is asking for bulk operations. He needs to go for energy consumption protocols, allowing him to reduce the battery power. Features like zero-touch device provisioning. So I have one customer, a fleet telematics provider. The CTO was telling me, I really have a problem once I want to activate a device in the cloud. It means you have to put in a token, you have to create a security protocol that says, okay, there is a device knocking on my cloud door asking for permission, but I don't know who it is because it has no identification number. Right. And these kind of things, zero-touch provisioning is one of the challenges that tries to cope with that. Whereas the device already has this identification because, for instance, it uses our ID that we provide through the connectivity. And it is linked to, for instance, AWS. So it knows already, the AWS cloud already knows in the beginning that the device knocks, it's a once connection. So it gives it through. If you wouldn't have this kind of feature in the first place, you would have to create a workaround. And the CTO was telling me exactly that. So he said, I need to come up with these kind of procedures, tokenization, all that stuff every time. And this is weeks of work, right? And this is just one example. Sorry to be a little bit more explaining these kind of stories.
No, I think it's fascinating. I think, as we talk about different areas of IoT, anytime we can kind of elaborate on the challenges and then kind of how things are being done, it's super important, which all ties back into kind of the approach you all are taking of bringing the cost of the connectivity down.
Exactly. That's one of the most challenging questions for customers. And really, I have this other customer who is saying to me, he's doing an asset tracking solution for caravans, for bicycles, and so on. And he was telling me, Arne, really, I cannot hear it anymore. All the people out there are thinking IoT is about data. It is not. Right. It is about energy. For instance, in his universe, for sure. I know there are different use cases saying it is data related, and I don't want to blame them right now, but it's just the kind of paradigm that you need to have in mind once you start to create your solution in the sphere where you are at. So,
well, and also a lot of the use cases you talked about, they weren't having trouble getting the data before. Data was available to them, where a lot of other IoT use cases, data was not available. They weren't able to pull data off some physical object until they had a sensor built to pull data off of it. So there's very different approaches. So in the world you're kind of talking more about and focusing on, it's about, instead of optimizing to find data, it's optimizing to have the thing run. What kind of energy consumption does it have? How can the battery last longer without having to in order to optimize operations and overall cost, as opposed to building something to pull data off something that you couldn't have had data from before?
Yeah, Ryan, you're bringing up a very, very good point. I wasn't aware of that, but I think you have a point here. Like you said, data was never a problem. So to get the data from A to B, this whole kind of process is not the problem. What is the problem is to get this up and running. and also how to transport data, but not really to transmit the data and how much. This is not the problem, because there you have your rates. And currently, really, if you look into the market, all the providers out there, please take it out because we want to do it differently. They focus on, okay, how much data do you want to transmit? This comes at cost X, Y, Z.
Right.
We want to play it the opposite way. We want to say, okay, we know, okay, data is something, okay, we make it very compelling for you. Don't bother the data amount. But let's focus now on the other parts, like what protocol do you want to use?
Yep.
How do you want to set up your module? What kind of module are you using? Is it NB-IoT, LTE-M, blah, blah, blah?
Right.
And so on. So many questions. And we want to educate them and go the journey together with our customers. So we are creating developer libraries for them. We are creating services, software services on top of them. But we're just in the beginning, right? So starting at this journey, creating cool services, but really want to learn from our customers how they evolve, how they really get into the stage of, oh, now I'm at the stage where I have a very large deployment. Hey, now I need this service. And hence, we are very much in contact with our customers. And this is what I really like.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. So before we wrap up here, I wanted to ask you, if we kind of pull this away from just focusing on low bandwidth IoT for a second, what else are you seeing in the market? Like, what other challenges are companies facing? What other, I guess, areas of innovation are we kind of lacking? Just other things that you're seeing happening in the space that are kind of worth thinking about and we could be doing better around.
So I was asked yesterday by an analyst what I do think about these big players like AWS and Microsoft. And also customers are asking me very often. And for instance, there's a term which is called vendor lock-in. And I was saying, oh, yeah, okay, vendor lock-in, maybe you should take care about that. And then I was thinking it through over this night, really, and thinking now actually the other way around. Don't fear a vendor lock-in. And let me explain why.
Sure.
The moment where you start creating a solution, you need to basically bring together two kind of ecosystems. The one is the ecosystems around hardware.
Okay.
So there you have your Quectel, then you have your module, the sensors, all that stuff. This is a complete world of its own, having own protocols, having own standards, and so on.
Sure.
And then the other side, which is the cloud, which is the software world, where you have the AWSs and the ThingsWorks, PTCs, and so on. Again, another different bubble. And you know how these kind of, if you are on a trade show and so on, there is this discussion about how to bring those worlds together. And the more I think of it is what we're trying to do as one player in the middle, as the connectivity players, to bring those, to bridge the gap in the one place, but also saying to customers, please focus on one part. So once you say you go to maybe one of the bigger players who have already a very good ecosystem, it makes your life easier on the hardware side. And it would be good to say, okay, it would be vice versa. So once you go to a hardware manufacturer, you would have automatically a very good way into the cloud. I think it's still some time to go, but there are already some smaller players like Blues Wireless, for instance, or Picom. Very, very cool and smart companies who try to cope with that. They start with the hardware, but have a very compelling ecosystem in their back. I love those kind of things. Even it might be if we might be sometimes competitors and sometimes not because we are compatible. However, I like this because this goes into the right direction. And I'm speaking as a kind of IoT believer. I want to have this market driven. So.
Yeah, we've kind of taken a similar approach, just viewing, I know obviously from a individual company standpoint, there's this level of competition that everybody is kind of has, but just the fact that there are options now and there's more things going on in the space across companies innovating, companies, building new connectivity types that are more optimized for use cases, you name it. It's just making IoT more likely to be adopted and more easily understood, and more deployments just increase the likelihood that IoT grows the way we've been all anticipating it to grow. So So I totally get where you're coming from, and kind of how you're viewing this as opposed to viewing it potentially from an individual company space and kind of trying to take it
Mhm.
as more of a negative. Um, but this conversation has been fantastic, Arne. Thanks so much for taking the time.
You're welcome.
So now that we're in 2022, tell me a little bit about what we should be on the lookout for coming out of Once, and how our audience can kind of stay in touch and learn more, follow up with any questions, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so what to look at is really looking at features where all these hardware related stuff becomes more automatized or softwareized. I think this will be the future. And I think there is already some buzz around these first services like EUICC, so where the SIM card might be just, I mean, you have it already in your chip when you use your watch or so. This, of course, could be adaptable for IoT as well, but
Sure.
it is some time to go. But I think anyhow, this will be the trend towards too. So that the hardware elements will be somewhat already mounted or integrated within the kind of bigger processors and so on. This is one part I'm really embracing, and
Sure.
where we are really happy to see how Once can play a part in that.
Yeah.
And of course, then the second part is this ecosystem game of
Okay.
AWS, Microsoft, and so on, because we're looking at it very carefully, but also embracing the opportunities it brings for customers, because it makes a lot of things easier, because they have now a tool set at one player at hand and can start right away and make it more seamless. And you can avoid a lot of these obstacles and problems that a lot of other customers had already 3 or 5 years ago. So because it's all now automatized and more standardized. And I think this is the second step that we will see in IoT, and I'm looking forward to play a part in that as well.
Fantastic. And people can kind of follow up or stay in touch through the website, through kind of social media, all those kind of channels?
Yeah, so since we are really a digital product, you can follow us on the internet, on the website, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, everywhere for sure. Once.com, the most easiest way.
Fantastic. Well, Arne, thanks again so much for taking the time. This has been a fantastic conversation, and look forward to hopefully putting more content together in the future and sharing with our audience kind of everything that's going on over at Once. And I think you have a lot of great stuff happening.
Thanks, Ryan. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Thanks again for watching that episode of the IoT For All podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please click the thumbs up button, subscribe to our channel, and be sure to hit the bell notification so you get the latest episodes as soon as they become available. Other than that, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.